Good morning.
Jin first appeared in Tekken 3. He was 19 at the time and he's Japanese. Jin is the son of Kazuya and Jun, and he was originally created in place of Kazuya, who wasn't in Tekken 3 because of his death by volcano in Tekken 2. But we all know Kazuya comes back because he's too popular to die. As of Tekken 3, Jin fights with advanced Mishima-style karate mixed with Kazama-style martial arts. Jin is a calm character. Even though he's in a game where the main focus is to beat people up, he stays calm and collected, and he rarely gets as mad as the other characters. Jin really isn't a shit talker, but he won't hesitate to remind you that you suck in the most monotone way possible. Hwoarang's first tournament was the King of Iron Fist 3. He was 19 years old at the time. His fighting style is Taekwondo. Hwoarang isn't the first character to fight with this style though. It was actually Beck in Tekken 2. Even though he's described as a very skilled fighter, he is still a student with Beck as his teacher. He is an outgoing and hot-headed character who loves street fights and hates losing. His strong personality shows in pretty much everything he does, especially his win poses. Before the start of the third tournament, Hwoarang spent his time at Beck's dojo and was making money through gambling wagers. He was a part of a fraud team where they would pick fights for money, and they would manipulate their opponents by making themselves appear less skilled than they actually were, causing their competition to underestimate them. By doing this, they would easily win every time. One day, members of the Mishima group, including Jin, came to town. Hwoarang talked them into a fight and was matched with Jin. However, when they fought, they could only manage a draw. Hwoarang was embarrassed that he couldn't beat Jin, and this was his first blemish on his fighting career. He vowed to work harder to defeat Jin and become the strongest. There's not too much detail on Hwoarang's place in the third tournament, but by the time of the fourth Iron Fist tournament, Hwoarang was drafted into the military. He was a great soldier who often broke the rules, but after a while he started to feel empty inside, and he missed the old days when he would get into street fights and his rivalry with Jin. When the fourth tournament was announced, he snuck out of the army to participate. Both Jin and Hwoarang were advancing in the tournament, but once it was time for their match, Jin was nowhere to be found. After the tournament, the two met up to fight, but they were interrupted by the Korean army. They were there to capture Hwoarang for leaving without permission. Eventually, Hwoarang was caught and detained, but before he was captured, the two agreed to fight at the next tournament to even the score.
Kazama, remember, I kicked your ass back there. Hey, you listening? I'll give you a chance to even the score at the next tournament. You better show up. Ceasefire!
At the fifth tournament, Hwoarang and Jin met up to fight. At the time, Hwoarang didn't know that Jin was struggling with the devil gene. While fighting, Jin paused and was trying to control the devil gene in him, while Hwoarang thought this was an opportunity to strike. And he did, knocking Jin out. However, with Jin knocked out, the devil gene took over and Devil Jin emerged. They began to fight, but Hwoarang was overpowered and was pretty badly beaten. Before the tournament, Hwoarang was in the hospital recovering from his last fight. He was pretty pissed at how badly he was beaten. So after recovering, he went straight to training, and shortly after, he headed out to try to find Jin for a rematch. Jin was more preoccupied with the war and his uncle Lars. And at the end of Tekken 6, Jin defeats Azazel, and he went missing shortly after. This made Jin even harder to find, and the two never fought or even saw each other during the 6th tournament. Jin was missing around the time of the 7th tournament. He was somewhere in the Middle East, but that's the extent of what everyone knew. At this time, a lot of people were looking for Jin, including Hwoarang. Eventually, he finds Jin and they begin to fight. The story goes two ways. Either Devil Jin wins and Hwoarang deflects a bomb at the last minute to save Jin, or Hwoarang wins and he deflects a bomb at the last second to save Jin. Either way, Hwoarang loses or injures his eye after the fight. We don't know which is canon, but we will know when the 8th game is released. Even though these two are rivals, you can tell that Jin and Hwoarang do not hate each other, like most of the other rivalries in Tekken. Hwoarang might give the impression that he dislikes Jin, but in reality I think he enjoys their battles, because it gives him something to work harder for. And Jin might give the impression that he doesn't care or he has better things to do, but he never turns down Hwoarang when it's time to fight. Jin isn't the type to waste time on useless things, so if he wasn't interested in fighting Hwoarang, he wouldn't. Also, from what we see, Jin doesn't really have friends or a normal life, and in a way, Hwoarang is that friend for him. They both never hesitate to help each other out when they need to, like in Tekken 4 when Jin helped Hwoarang fight off the Korean army, or much recently when Hwoarang deflected a bomb in order to save Jin. These two remind me of competitive siblings, where you have no problem insulting or fighting each other, but are quick to defend each other from others. Overall, I like the rivalry between these two. I always knew they were rivals, but after researching and learning the story, I actually like the rivalry more. Fighting games are known for being over the top with character designs and storylines, and that's great because it keeps the games entertaining. But it is still nice to have a more somewhat realistic rivalry like with these two. Alright, so that's all for today. This is a part of my new series that I'm doing for Tekken. It's going to be specifically about the rivals in the series. So if you guys have any other characters you want me to do next, just let me know. Also, if there's any other fighting games with rivals in it, let me know and I'll still do those too. I'm still going to do Forgotten Fighting Games, but you know, those videos take a long time. So just like, you know, every other week I'll try to put out a new Forgotten Fighting Games or Tekken Rivals. And right now I'm kind of like lost on what I should do for my next JoJo video. Whatever ideas you have, just let me know because I love getting ideas. It makes it a lot easier for me to make videos and edit. Yeah, thank you guys for watching and I'll see you next week.